when you understand the young boy, you know, it all goes into the blasphemy. You know, a lot of the rappers go into boy and little, you know, all of those names because like Lil Wayne, Lil Durk, you know, Lil Yachty, you know what I mean, Young Boy, you know. Remember 50 Cent, you say, it's the kid, man, it's the kid. You know, it all go into that because remember as it's written how the son of God, you know, the man-child, you know what I'm saying? The man-child, the little boy, the little child should lead them. He's the son of God. So they all go into that name of blasphemy when they take on that boy, little, and, you know, kid name, you know. So I'm going to delve into this right quick because when you understand the whole thing, why Donald Trump had to be involved, because in 1 Corinthians 15, verse 52, in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye at the last trump, for the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. So the dead goes into those who were once ignorant and sleep. Remember, as it's written, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. So, you know, young boy had to be in the had to be out in the mountains out in Utah because, you know, it goes into that whole thing of dealing with the jazz, you know, the trumpet. Because in Joel 2:1, you know, as it's written, blow ye the trumpet in Zion and sound a holy alarm in my holy mountain. Let all the inhabitants of the land tremble, for the day of the Lord coming, for it is nigh. So that's why he had to come out of, you know, he had to go through Utah being on house arrest. Because, you know, that house arrest is super symbolic because, you know, it all goes into the Lord dwelling within his king's chamber, within the house of the Lord, within his temple blasphemy. You know, remember, he's the young boy, the one that shall lead them to blasphemy. So, you know, remember when they said he was young, remember they said he got that scar on his face because remember they said he broke his neck while he was wrestling as a little boy. So, you know, that whole thing with that wrestling, which is very serious, you know, I'm going to delve into all of that. That wrestling is very serious because, you know, it goes to how Christ, remember when Christ was walking the earth the first time, remember he would cast demons out of people. Remember he would wrestle out demons out of people, doing exorcism, healing people from sicknesses and from demons that troubled him. So, you know, he go into the great wrestler. That's why, excuse the whitewashing, but that's why, you know, WWE, they love to do that, men run around in tights, you know, in underwear, wrestling each other because, you know, when Christ was crucified, remember he was crucified in his underwear by the Romans. So that's why they had to say the young boy had to get that scar because they already know he was the young boy. They was going to build him up as the one that leads the, you know, the young Hebrews into chaos. Because when you understand that, you know, they had to get that scar on his face. Remember, as it's written, by the stripes we were healed. Remember when Christ was crucified, they striped him. They struck him, you know what I'm saying, with the whole thing with the strap hitting him on his back. So, you know, by his stripes we were healed. So that's why they got to have, you know, he got the scar. Remember when he returned from the dead, remember he had the scar. So that's why young boy got the scar on his face. That's why Tony Montana, Al Pacino, remember had to be Scarface dealing with cocaine, dealing with bricks. Because as it's written in Revelation 3:12, those who overcome will I make a pillar, will I make a stone in my Father's temple. So, you know, that go into those bricks, blasphemy, the Scarface, the Messiah symbology. You know, it's very important to know what's going on with all of this blasphemy, man. So let's delve even deeper into this because when you understand what music is, you know, music is the highest form of praise. It's the highest language. So that's why the devil's infiltrated. They want to use it to cause chaos. You know, young boy, you know, the whole thing, his whole character and persona that they push through him, you know, is I don't care if I die today. I don't care if I die. I don't care about dying. You know what I'm saying? Because they want to push that spirit on people. You know, they want people to die in ignorance so that they can go on that path of destruction, go into the lake of fire. That's his whole